the Arex 1S. Let's check it out. In a market dominated by polymer frame striker fire pistols, the Arex 1 came out and really caused a big stir in the market. A lot of these hammer fired pistols, especially with the aluminum frame, those are older designs for the semi-automatic pistol. But one of the big things about the Arex 0 is that it has brought a lot of excitement back to this style firearm and this design. Obviously, it has a lot of its cues from the SIG P226, but there are a lot of differences. Now, first thing we want to do, of course, is make sure the gun is unloaded. So we're going to drop the magazine, check the chamber, make sure the gun is empty. Now, while we've got the hammer in the rear position, I want to show you a few things. First, we have a decocker right here, which is similar to the SIG. But we also have, and I'm going to bring the hammer back, we have a frame-mounted safety, which actually just kills the trigger. This is a great way to carry it for consistent shots. From the first to the last, you don't have to worry about that double action. But if you really want to bring that hammer down, you can just bring it down like that. And then, of course, you can relieve your safety. So it has some redundant safeties. One thing, too, is there's a hammer block safety in here. And then also, when the gun is not in battery, the disconnector makes it to where it's not operable. And so they've incorporated a number of safeties. One of the things that I want to show too with these lever systems is that when the gun is brought back after the last round is fired, when you hit this decocker, it's also your slide release. Now on the SIG, the slide release is up here, but as we bring it down, and you'll hear that little click, you cannot decock the hammer and drop the slide. And so then you can come in and drop the hammer. So those are some pretty cool features. We're going to look at a SIG P226 in a minute and kind of do a few comparisons, but we're going to talk about some of the cool things about this pistol. First off, it is an aluminum frame, and it's 7075 T6 aluminum. It has a hard anodized finish on it that has these polymer grips. Now, one thing about the SIG is the polymer grips wrap all the way around. Here on the Arex 0, they're panels. They're not super aggressive. There's some stippling down here or some little dots that are decently, aggressive. But up here at the top, it's really smooth. And there are slide serrations here and toward the back, but they're all the straight linear slide serrations. It does have a pretty decent grip to it, but really I would like to see a little more aggressive texturing. One thing that Hogue offers are grips for these in the G10, which are very nice, and you can kind of upgrade, but then it'll give you some extra texturing. But really, to be honest with you, I didn't have any problems with the pistol. It felt good, and I had a lot of confidence with the grip. But I think maybe, in hot weather or even wet conditions, that could be a problem. The slide has a nitro carburized finish on it, which is the same as the HK, and they call it the hostile environment finish. These are excellent. They impregnate the metal, and so they protect it. These are a high carbon steel, so it's very well made. The barrel, which is 4 1/4 inches, it's a cold hammer forged barrel, and it also has one of the nitro carburized finishes on it as well. But again, this is a double single action trigger, and so on the first pull of the trigger with the hammer down, it's a super smooth, very smooth. But man, is it heavy. It's about 12 pounds, and but it's super smooth. So really, in a self-defense situation, you'll pull the pistol out, you can fire that first round. You're going to mean to pull that trigger. Now on the single action mode, we're going to go ahead and pull the hammer back. Right here, we have a little bit of take up, very smooth, and a very nice crisp snap. Reset, tactile, audible, a little bit out, but you're really quick to get follow-up shots. So that just kind of gives you an idea of the trigger. The trigger pull on the single action is about 5.5 pounds. The trigger guard is ample. It's large enough for gloved hands. Has a 1913 Picatinny rail. Has 4 slots. The mag release, very positive. But what I really like is that it's fully ambidextrous. It's already here, so I can actually take my trigger finger and hit that mag release. The magazines are Metgar mags. Now the magazine capacity is 17 plus 1 9mm. With the compact model it's 15 plus 1. And they do make 10-round magazines for those that live in restrictive states. The magazine well has been beveled, and then with the taper on the magazine, it makes it super easy to install, and of course you have your polymer base pad. Slide serrations, aggressive enough. They do have some partial slide serrations for press checks. There is a loaded chamber indicator right here at the top, and of course when it's flat, there's nothing there. We're going to take a dummy round. And it's very minimal, but you can feel it just right along the top. Especially in dark conditions, this is really useful. The grip serrations are very linear. Here on the other side, same thing. They go all the way up to the top. The nice beaver tail right here, and of course that's very similar to the SIG P226. There are relief cuts in the hammer just to make it a little bit lighter, a little different than your standard SIG. It does have steel 3-dot sights, and from what I understand, TrueGlow is now offering a set of night sights for these. Now, while I appreciate the quality of the SIG P226, the high bore axis is one thing that I've just never really cared for. And as you can see, it is a pretty high bore axis. Here we're going to bring in a Glock. This is a Glock 19. You can see that it is considerably higher. But one of the things about this pistol is because of the ergonomics and just the way it shoots, it does shoot very well, and it shoots pretty flat. So that's not necessarily a huge con, but it's definitely something to note. Now, Rec Zero is imported by FIME Group out of Las Vegas, and they fully support the Arex line. And so for parts and different things, in fact, they offer a line of holsters to go with this, and you're starting to see holster manufacturers make holsters for these guns. These do not fit the standard SIG P226, mainly because the trigger guard's a little bit larger, and you've got this extension on the Picatinny rail. This is a true Picatinny rail, though, which on the SIG, it's actually a modified Picatinny. Now, the testing on these pistols are extensive. In fact, they test each pistol with 30% higher than SAMI specs, which plus P is 10%. And so they shoot a number of rounds through it that way, and then they sight it in, and they get it to make sure the sights are in line. And so there's some testing that's being done by these handguns before they're shipped. These are also tested by NATO specs, and they've gone through all the different torture tests. And if you've seen Tim at Military Arms Channel, his gauntlet review, in fact, that's what really got me started on the Rec Zero, is once he used it for the gauntlet test, and Tim really was impressed with this pistol. I think he did another 1,000-round torture test. In fact, I've taken this gun out a number of times to the range. We probably put about 800 rounds through it, and man, it just never malfunctions. Now here I have a SIG P226 along with the Rec Zero. You can see that they are definitely very similar in shape and in silhouette and size. In fact, if you line these two up together, the dimensions are pretty much identical. One thing though that I will say about the Rec Zero that I like is that this slide area right here is thin, whereas on the SIG it's a little more rounded. As you can see, it kind of rounds off. It's a little bit thicker. There are some cuts here that make this a little nicer to me as far as entering it into a holster. But you see the dovetail here on the front and of course on the back. Another difference is the extended trigger guard. It does come out a little bit more, so for gloved hands this is going to be a little better. The dust cover ends on the SIG right here, and then the rest of your slide comes out. Here on the Rec Zero it extends all the way out. On the SIG you do have the wraparound grips, which on the Rec Zero it has 2 panels. But one big difference with the SIG is that you have your slide release right here and you have your decocker here. Now this is a double action only SIG P226, and so it doesn't have the decocker. And then of course you have your takedown lever, which is the same. But one of the big things that the Arex Zero has is its safety right here that's frame mounted, and then of course with the different action where you have your slide release up here and the decocker. The weight on the Arex Zero, 2 pounds, 0.4 ounces. The weight on the SIG P226, 2 pounds, 0.8 ounces. So pretty much identical. I want to thank Freedom Munitions for supplying the ammo. We're using some of the remanufactured 9mm and also the Pro Match, which we're going to do our accuracy test with. You can get a 5% discount using Sootch 00 at freedommunitions.com.
Dude,
Jingle bells.
this thing shoots really flat. Shoots better than I shoot a M11A1, right?
Yeah.
It's like the next frame down, and it's got a lot of flip because of the muzzle, the bore axis, right? Dude, this thing is fun. Like I need me one of these, right? Why is there only one magazine? Right?
Son, that really shoots smooth.
Yeah, I told you it does. It really does.
I mean,
It's almost like if you're used to shooting other guns, it's almost like it's hard to get used to because you're like compensating for the recoil that isn't there.
and it's light.
Yeah.
It's lightweight, so you're kind of like,
I dig it.
I'm digging it too.
I'm gonna fill another mag.
Yeah.
Like that.
If I'd tried a little bit harder, I could have got them all on. I was just kind of like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, dude, I like this gun. I really do. Just that one, I'm telling you.
Is it that bad?
Bah. I don't know, maybe I'm just spoiled because I shoot an M11, but
I mean, it's heavy. It's
like,
definitely heavy.
but the rest of it, like once you get to here, I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, there's no, the reset's good.
Now let's disassemble. We're going to remove our magazine, check to make sure the gun is unloaded. One of the things that you'll notice is there is no magazine disconnect, which I really like. Now to get things started, bring back your slide and engage your slide stop. Now we take our lever, pull it all the way down to the 90-degree position, and then we just release our slide stop and it brings the slide right off. You have a full metal guide rod and recoil spring, and you have your barrel, which is a modified Browning design. The Arex Zero has what they call the unlocking block. It's a full steel block that fits in here into the frame. And this is going to give the frame even more rigidity and strength. You'll notice that there is a little bit of a feed ramp right here as well. And then of course you can see the feed ramp on the barrel. This is a pretty wide feed ramp. It's still dirty from shooting, but we had zero malfunctions. I mean, this gun just ran like a top. And that's what I've heard on the forums, on different websites, and from different reviews. I mean, the gun is very reliable. Of course, that's all that's needed for field strip. We're going to, in reverse order, reassemble it. Barrel first, recoil spring and guide rod. The slide rails are full length, which I really like, and here at the back. We'll take the slide, place it onto the frame, engage your slide stop, and then bring it down and you're good to go. The lever pops back automatically. Function test, and we're ready for the range. Now the price on the Arex Zero, from what I'm seeing, is running around the $600 range. This is not a budget pistol by any means. It's a very high quality pistol, and so people are buying it for that reason. But compared to the SIG P226, which runs about $1,100 and up, you're getting a considerable amount of difference in price between the two. And so, you know, you're getting really high quality parts for the same quality you're getting with your SIG, or at least pretty close. And guys, I'll tell you, for, you know, $500 more, is the SIG worth it? Well, that's up to you. But I think that, you know, it really has a lot of features that are just excellent. Now, as far as pros and cons of the pistol, it does carry that SIG feel to it and the reliability. I mean, it's just been excellent. The service life on these is quoted from Arex is about 30,000 rounds. There have been a lot of great reviews on this gun. In fact, I have yet to see anything negative. The cold hammer forged barrel, the finish on the slide, there's a lot of parts and accessories that are coming already onto the market. And for a hammer fire double action, single action pistol, it's really been received better than anyone expected. As far as cons go, I think the sights are not quite as bright and as large as I would like. Of course, I could replace the sights, but in the box, the sights are a little small, which actually helped for accuracy. The grip is not really that aggressive, and maybe have a little more aggressiveness on the grip to be able just to give you a little more confidence. And one con would be the high bore axis, but it doesn't seem to affect the shootability of this handgun. But really, guys, I don't know of any other cons for this pistol. It's just reliable, it shoots well, it's very accurate, and the trigger pull, while the double action is pretty heavy, and even the single action at 5.5 pounds, but that was really purposeful. It's made to be able to ignite really hard primers. I think there is a trigger kit that's coming out to reduce the trigger weight on these, so that's definitely a positive. And something else that makes this a really excellent pistol is they do have a limited lifetime warranty on these handguns. And again, we have FIME Group here in the US that takes care of any kind of warranty issues. So overall, I think this is a 9 out of 10. It's just an excellent handgun, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more out of this pistol. And I want to thank FIME Group for sending the pistol for the test and evaluation. This has been an excellent experience. I think, guys, if you're looking for a really great double single action pistol and you like the SIG P226, I think this would be one to look at before you made a decision, because, guys, this is an excellent handgun. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Like somebody was talking about one of my guns. He said, "You need to clean your gun. You need to." I was like, I'm a shooter. I'm not a collector. The serrations on the grip, again, are linear. Now, here's a little closer look at the slide serrations, as you can see. The other, another big difference is the 2 pounds is just 2 pounds. Shoot. Put in our barrel. Bring in our guide rod. And so they have incorporated a number of safeties. Want to thank Freedom Munitions for crap. The Rex Zero 1S. Let's check it out. The Rex Zero 1S. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Check, check, check. Good grief. Look at this mustache. It's putting my upper lip down.